Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you are good. Today we're going to be doing a full review of the Amazfit Bip S. This is the upgraded version of the original Amazfit Bip, which was a super popular smartwatch because it was cheap, it was effective, and the battery life lasted literally months. So this is the latest version or the new version of that watch, and there have been some upgrades. We're going to look at whether these upgrades are worth it, whether the Bip is still worth buying. I mean, there have been a lot of smartwatches released since then, a lot of cheap ones. So is the Bip S enough of an upgrade? How does it compete with its competitors, and how does it work on a day-to-day basis? We are going to have a look at that right now. Let's go. So first, let's check out the specifications of the watch and see what hardware we're dealing with. So the Bip S features a 1.28-inch transflective color display, which is always on. It has a resolution of 172 by 172 pixels. The size of the watch is 42 millimeters by 35.3 millimeters by 11.4 millimeters thick, and it weighs 31 grams. It's made of polycarbonate. It features an upgraded PPG heart rate monitor and an accelerometer. It's waterproof up to 50 meters and has a 200 mAh battery, which can last up to 40 days. So that's the specs of the watch, but really what's it like to use on a day-to-day basis? Let's check out the screen and the design. The Amazfit Bip features that transflective color display, which on first appearance is not going to look as good as the AMOLED displays in many other watches. AMOLED displays are a lot brighter, a lot more vibrant, and usually a lot more attractive at first glance. However, the transflective color display has its advantages. For a start, it allows for that really long battery life. Also, transflective color displays are always on, so they're always displaying something, whereas AMOLED screens are usually too energy hungry to have an always on display, so you usually have to activate it. The transflective display of the Bip is actually the best one I've seen compared to the last version, which was kind of had a blue tinge, wasn't very sharp, wasn't very colorful. It always had kind of a dull look to it. They have upgraded the display to show more color. Overall, I'm actually pretty impressed with the screen. I know it doesn't look as good as some more expensive watches. Also, the other advantage is that it works really well in direct sunlight. Again, other displays like AMOLED screens are very difficult to see outside in direct sunlight, whereas a transflective display is really clear all the time. So that might be useful if you like to use your watch to track workouts like cycling and running, and you want to see your data straight away on the watch, and you don't have to worry about the glare of the sun kind of getting in the way of that. So the screen is super responsive. That has been upgraded as well from the last Bip. I did another video comparing those two smartwatches, and I did find that the screen had improved quite significantly. The design of the watch is fairly basic, however, that is in some way to its advantage. It's kind of got the same shape as an Apple Watch, that same square design. There may have been some inspiration from that. I'm not going to say any more, but apart from that, it does look fairly simple. The watch is 11 millimeters thick, which for me is absolutely fine. I do not find this to be a thick watch at all. I find it super comfortable to wear, even while sleeping. If you wanted to track your sleep, it's super comfortable to wear. The one issue I have with the design of the watch is the fact that the screen has a very big black border around it. I mean, this is in no way an edge-to-edge display. The actual screen that lights up, it only makes up, I would say, 2/3 of the actual size of the watch, which is pretty disappointing. I mean, it would be nice if the actual display was larger. The plastic body is basically what it is. It's made of polycarbonate. It's not going to look as good as an Apple Watch or one of the Samsung watches. But considering the price of the Bip S, I still think it looks pretty good. They've kept it as simple as possible, which is fine for me. The only manual control is one button at the side, which basically either activates the screen or takes you to a menu system where you can view your status, your heart rate. The strap is fairly basic. You can replace it, so you can get a better looking one, but the one that they give you is fairly acceptable to me. I find it blends in well with the watch. It's just the same color. Now let's talk about the sensors and the tracking information that this watch is capable of collecting. I mean, that's basically why you're going to get the Amazfit Bip S. It's not a smartwatch that you can download apps. You're not going to be able to download things like Spotify or other fitness apps or anything like that like you could with an Apple Watch. You are basically stuck with what it gives you. So what it gives you needs to be pretty good, but this does actually make for a really good fitness tracker because it features not only internal GPS but a advanced heart rate monitor, or at least an upgraded heart rate monitor. So that means you can use it independently of your phone. You don't need to connect the GPS to your phone. It has the GPS module inside the watch itself, so it's ready to go straight away. For monitoring heart rate, I find this to be fairly accurate. This features their latest heart rate tracking technology, so I do see it kind of firing off every few seconds or so, and it does seem to monitor your heart rate more consistently than other smartwatches that I've used, certainly better than the original Amazfit Bip. It can measure your heart rate constantly, so it does that, and it can display that on the home screen, on one of the screens options. One of them has your continuous heart rate basically all the time. So there are always going to be some accuracy issues with any smartwatch based heart rate monitor. They're not 100% accurate, but I think for the purposes of roughly tracking your fitness and your heart rate and how it goes, up and down throughout the day, this is pretty good. The GPS has also been upgraded, so I have tried it out on some workouts, on some bike rides to see how accurate it was, if it followed the route correctly, if it was on the whole time. I found it connected to the GPS once you turn it on roughly in about 20 seconds, so that's reasonably fast, and for me it did track very consistently and very accurately. Obviously you can then put all of this information into the app and then see your route on an actual map. However, it does also show you on the screen itself as well. The Bip S comes with 10 built-in fitness tracking modes, everything from running, indoor cycling, outdoor cycling, walking, treadmill, swimming. There are a few other ones as well. So most of the kind of basic workout sports, it will be able to track. Now, depending on which one you select, it may want to activate the GPS and it will monitor your heart rate. It will use the accelerometer to kind of judge how intense you are working out. You can then see the results of the workout either on the app, which we'll go into in a little bit, or you can also see it on the screen itself. However, you're not going to get as much data. So for workouts and for fitness tracking, I think it is actually a really good option if you're happy with just those two things. Basically, it has the GPS and the heart rate monitor. It lacks some of the more advanced sensors that are coming up from other smartwatches, like an ECG or an infrared sensor to measure your blood oxygen level. It doesn't have those sensors, so you won't be able to monitor stuff like that. So it is limited to what it can do, but what it does track, it tracks pretty accurately. And I think for most kind of basic sports, it will be good enough to monitor how well you do. Let's take a look at some of the software that comes with the watch. Firstly, the operating system in the watch itself. It's obviously not a Apple-based or a Samsung-based, so it's not Android. It doesn't have loads and loads of options, loads and loads of apps. It just has kind of basic functionalities. I actually quite like the menu system. It's basic, but there are quite a lot of options there. There are quite a lot of screens which give you a lot of data. If you keep the watch connected to your phone via Bluetooth, which I recommend you do, you can also have notifications shown on your watch. So if you get a text message or a phone call, I think even WhatsApp, if you set that up, it will show you your WhatsApp notifications. You can then read them. You can read the messages. From the watch, you can also see weather reports. You can see the weather forecast for the next few days. You can also control your music if you connect your watch to your phone, which has Spotify or playing any kind of music. You can then skip a track, play a track, stuff like that. So that is pretty useful. The Amazfit app on your phone, which is where you will view more intricate data from your workouts and from the Amazfit app on your phone, which is how you connect to the Bip S and where you're going to be viewing your data is, I've talked about it in basically every other Amazfit watch that I have reviewed, and I'll just say that it does the job. It's pretty good. You can see your sleep tracking, you can see your heart rate over days and weeks, depending on how long you wear the watch for. You can see your workouts, you can view maps. It basically does what every other fitness health app does. So for me, it works really well. I don't use it that often, but if you enjoy seeing your trends and data over a long time, then the app will provide that. I guess that's basically it, guys. There are some other things I could discuss. For example, the water resistance. It's waterproof up to 50 meters, so you can go swimming with it if you want to track swimming. And also the battery life, which was basically the best and probably the most interesting feature of the last watch. The Bip could last for 45 days on a single charge. The Bip S can last 40 days, which is not quite as much, but it does have some more advanced tracking features and a more advanced screen, so I can forgive those 5 days. Still, 40 days on a single charge is really impressive. But bear in mind, if you use the GPS and if you use the continuous heart rate monitoring, then that will be cut down. So the Bip S is definitely an upgrade from the last version, but how does it compare to other smartwatches today or smartwatches that have recently been released? Now, this is a pretty cheap smartwatch. I don't think it's even quite been released yet in the West. However, when it is released in the West, it's probably going to be around about $100, £100, or maybe slightly over. Other smartwatches in that category, this shape and this design, there aren't very many of them. There especially aren't many that have both internal GPS and a heart rate monitor. There are some cheaper smart bands, so fitness trackers that look like this in kind of the band format that do have those features and do have other features. For example, this is the Huawei Band 4 Pro, which has internal GPS, a heart rate monitor, and an infrared sensor for measuring oxygen level in your blood, which some people don't like, having this tiny little screen. There is limits to what it can do and what you can see. Also, it has that transflective display, which is quite rare these days. Most smartwatches have AMOLED displays, which again have pros and cons of both, depending on what you want. But for me, I really like the Bip S. I know it's cheap, it's cheerful, it does the job though, it's super comfortable to wear, it doesn't look that bad. I mean, the screen isn't the most advanced thing in the world, let's just admit it, but for tracking my workouts, bike rides, and runs, it does the job for me, and it's super comfortable to wear, and it measures heart rate pretty accurately. So those are the three things I care about for a simple smartwatch. So that's it, guys. Bip S, great value for money, but just be aware that you're not getting the most advanced product in the world. If you enjoyed this review, then please subscribe because I have more coming. I'm probably going to compare this watch to its closest rival, the Amazfit GTS, which is basically like a Bip with the AMOLED screen, so check that out if you're interested. You can see a written review and a comparison with the original Bip on my website, so check the link below and check below to see where you can buy the Bip S now. It is available worldwide, but it may take a little bit of time to get to you because it's not on Amazon yet. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you next time. Bye.